All right, guys, it's Tuesday. I just got home from work right now. It's about 7:30 or so. But yeah, anyway, yesterday, the start of the week, I actually fell asleep halfway through the market, which doesn't really happen often. I fell asleep at about 3:30 a.m. because I was way too tired. And then, sadly, we immediately saw the market kind of go down crazily. From about 3:30 or so, you just saw the market continue to dip down and down and down and down. Even for the SPY hit a low of $415 or so. Pretty crazy, okay? But of course, no one really expected this kind of thing to happen. But anyway, sad to say, most likely from the whole Russia-Ukraine situation, especially when US have already sent out the law to ban Russian oil. I'm pretty sure that law just came to fruition. But we'll go through the Russia-Ukraine update later on. And also, just to give you guys a brief summary for people who are not going to stay to the end of the video, I'm just going to give it to you right now. Things to take note of. On Thursday, which will be in 2 more days, we'll be getting our CPI. I'll most likely be doing an additional video of that, just so that we can actually understand more of what is actually being talked about in the whole CPI. I'll most likely be talking about my expectation for the CPI later on as well. Similarly with the upcoming video that I'll be uploading tomorrow, basically talking about how this whole Russia-Ukraine war situation would be affecting normal civilian who is outside of Russia and Ukraine. Okay, those are the things that you should be looking out for. But anyway, without further ado, let's cover some news today. All right, so let me just bring the attention over to the Wall Street Journal over here. Okay, let's bring the update. Same thing as always. Okay, House lawmakers introduced bill that would ban imports of Russian crude. Okay, literally what I said earlier just now. But anyway, they say that introduce the bipartisan bill that would ban the U.S. import of Russian crude. So this is now actually written into law. This entered the legislation. I'm pretty sure that Shell did buy Russian oil. Yeah, okay. I saw something along the line, but I'm not very sure. But I'll go through that later on. But anyway, this is finally written into bill. I'm very, very happy to see that they are really working extra hard, making sure that this actually comes out as fast as they can. This is the kind of thing that will actually hurt Russia instead of their normal sanctions and such. But do take note that there's the part 2 to this, and it actually comes down to the after effects of what would actually happen if a Russian crude were to be banned in the US. So you know what? Actually, I'll just go through it right now with you guys. Where they actually, okay. So this is an article from CNBC. Russia warns of $300 oil, threatens to cut off European gas if West bans energy imports. So clearly, US have already called out for the whole banning of crude oil if the West continues to natural gases and such. Russia is just basically saying, I'm warning you guys, okay? It's going to go to a $300 per barrel, okay? It's not just us, okay? It's basically that's going to be the going price. This is not going to hurt us. If anything, it's just going to hurt your citizens. And you should let your citizens know, not us, okay? This is the crazy part. Later on, there will be a very, very core part of this article that I want you guys to really take note of, okay? But basically, Novak, basically the Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, was saying, we warn of $300 prices if West goes ahead with the ban on its energy exports. It's clear that a rejection of Russian oil will lead to catastrophic consequences for the global market. We all understand that, of course. The surge in prices would be unpredictable. It would be $300 per barrel, or if not more. Okay. Novak also cited Germany's decision last month to halt the certification of the highly contentious Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, saying we have every right to take a matching decision and impose an embargo on gas pumping through the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline. So far, we are not taking such a decision, but European politicians with their statement and accusation against Russia push us towards that. Okay, this is where it's going to be crazy, okay? Over at the part where they are, is it here? No, okay. Over at this part where they are going to be, okay, this is where it's crazy. Novak said, we are ready for it, okay? European politicians need to honestly warn their citizen and consumer what to expect. Here's the kicker. If you want to reject energy supplies from Russia, go ahead. We are ready for it. We know where we could redirect the volumes to. Okay, so just to sum this all up, basically what Novak is saying is that go ahead. We are not worried about you guys banning energy, like banning Russian crude. You think we care? No, we don't, because we will definitely have someone to buy it from us, aka China, most likely. We do not know. Okay, we do not know, but there is a good chance that it might be China. Okay, and you can easily be China being the one to repackage the oil, because if it just go through China's infrastructure, China can be the next biggest oil exporter. And this is where it's going to be very, very troubling, because the US right now is kind of almost dismissing Russia as being a formidable foe. But but US do worry about China. And if China is the one that's going to be buying copious amount of oil from Russia, because Russia don't have any other buyer, okay? Russia is most likely going to be selling it to China at a discount, of course. And China can basically repackage this and sell it out. And there is no law for them to do that. Because unless they want to go ahead and ban China oil, but then that's just going to be adding more burden and more damage that's going to be hitting the supply chain itself of oil. So what I'm really, really worried about is what Novak is saying here, where he said we know where we could redirect the volumes to. I'm really thinking China is really going to be one of them. I do think that China will want to take this opportunity to basically just be the redistributor for oil for the entire world, because they can easily do that. Okay, you think about it this way, China has good relationship with a lot of countries as well. China can basically just bring this in and then just redistribute them at a cost. So I think that's very, very smart. And as much as US is trying to say, no, we're not going to have Russian oil. End of the day, Russian oil is going to be in your infrastructure without you buying it from Russia, which is even worse, because chances are they have to buy it at a much higher price, because end of the day, they have to buy it at a much higher price. And that's why it's so crazy to me to actually think that this might actually be a possibility in the next future. So yeah. Okay. Let me just go back to this again. Okay. So, what are war crimes? What to know? Okay, and my global economy braces for impact of Russia. JP Morgan to exclude Russian debt from bond indexes. Okay. All right. Gazprom pays foreign bondholders. Rosneft hasn't yet. This is just the energy companies and such. This kind of remind me a little bit of Evergrande, but Evergrande is the whole real estate side of things, and this is Russia's oil side of things. Kind of weird. Biden administration faces more pressure to ban Russian oil. We already over that. Zelensky asked Americans for help. Fighter jets in ABC interview. Oh, okay. This is very, very ballsy. Not gonna lie, especially with the warning that we actually got on Sunday of Russia saying NATO and EU need to stop sending weapons, ammunition, jets, and whatsoever to Ukraine, because if they continue to do so, Russia is just going to be more aggressive. But I think that's a very, very ballsy move for Zelensky to just hold his fort down. So for this, he said, repeated his plea for the US and other countries to clear the way for Soviet-era fighter aircraft to supplement his military and to enforce a no-fly zone over his country, while expressing confidence in Biden's ability to do so. Pursuing ways, okay. Creating a no-fly zone will require allies to shoot Russian planes. Zelensky focused on the need to shoot down Russian missiles that he said are striking civilian infrastructures. The NATO rejected request for a no-fly zone, saying it would risk war with Russia, an outcome that Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened if any NATO member enter the conflict. Putin is deliberately targeting civilians is irrelevant. Why would I care? The result is the same. Won't stop at Ukraine. Continue to threaten other democratic countries. We are a place in Europe, a place of freedom, a zone of freedom. When the limits of rights and freedoms are being violated, and step one, and you have to protect us, because we will come first, you will come second, of course. I'm sure the Ukrainians are prepared to stand against Russia for their entire lives. will endure, and even if come into all our cities, there will be insurgency, insurgent war. No one will give away our independence. If you, we are not far from you. If you see and if you understand how we feel, how we fight against all the enemies for our freedom, support us. I'm not gonna lie, like Zelensky is such a hero figure right now, especially. He got so much clout from this entire thing, and I'm really, really happy that the Ukrainians have a leader like him. It's almost like the textbook leader, the person who will lead you into battle, not like a boss where they just command you to go out for the battle. I think that there's gonna be a lot of comparison with the whole Afghanistan side of thing, where when the Afghanistan, I think it was in early 2021 when the whole Afghanistan situation happened, and the leaders were the first to flee, and that was quite crazy. And now you look at Zelensky, and people is like, damn, that's the leader that we want to lead our country, that kind of thing. So I gotta give it to Zelensky. I think Zelensky is doing something amazing here. So but that aside, if I actually put politics aside, Zelensky is doing a great job. But if you're looking with politics into it, I can see why NATO refuses the no-fly zone, because if any attack on Russia would basically just throw Russia into this fit, and then Russia would just be like, all right, you know what, we're going to declare war. And yeah, I mean, yeah, nevertheless, I do feel with the Ukrainians. I do think that they are really in between a rock and a hard place. So, all right. Procter & Gamble suspends ads, capital investment in Russia. Okay, yeah, we expected that already. So South Korea banned transaction with Russia's central bank. Wow, that's a huge one. Okay, so for people who do not know, South Korea and US has always have this very good friendship, especially when US was against North Korea. So it kind of makes sense, you know, your enemy's enemy is definitely going to be your ally, that kind of thing. So it's great. You know, because US and the EU has been banning transactions with the central bank in Russia. So yeah, I think South Korea basically just came in and just do that as well. Fair. Estee Lauder to close all the store it owns in Russia. Like I said before, it's going to happen a lot. Japanese credit card issuer JCB to suspend Russian operations. Again, same thing. Shell to withdraw from Russian oil and gas, halt spot purchase. Shell said it would halt all spot purchase of Russian crude and shut its gas station, aviation fuel, and lubricant operation in Russia as it looks to withdraw from the country's energy sector in response to the invasion of Ukraine. The energy giant said it would change its crude oil supply chain to remove Russian volume as quick as possible, though it cautioned that the location and availability of alternatives mean it could take weeks to complete and will lead to reduced throughput at some of its refineries. Shell said it would start its phased withdrawal from Russian products and said it was a complex challenge and that changing this part of the energy system would require a concerted action by governments, energy suppliers, and customers. The companies also apologized for purchasing 100,000 metric tons of Russia's Urals crude oil on Friday. It has purchased the oil for $28.5 a barrel, less than benchmark crude oil prices. It said it would commit profits from Russian oil purchase to humanitarian funds to alleviate the crisis in Ukraine. All right, so same thing. I'm going to show you guys the article from CNBC as well, just so that you can have another view on it as well. Friday, they purchased that, correct. Reported bought at a record discount, with many firms shunning Russian oil due to Moscow's unprovoked invasion of its neighbor. The purchase did not violate any Western sanctions, which is correct, because the law basically just passed yesterday, so they did not really go through anything heavy. Faced heavy criticism for the purchase, including from Ukraine's foreign minister Dmytro Kuleba, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, who has urged companies to cut all business ties with Russia. All right, so let's see. They'll stop all spot purchase. Okay, that's great. Shut its service station. Okay, that's what we read as well. But yeah, at a record discount. I cannot fault Shell at this, because honestly, as a company, if I want to look at Shell as a proper company, I do think that what they did was actually correct, even though they are going to get a little bit of criticism. I do think that what they did was actually correct, and right now they're just basically putting out a fire by doing, sending those funds to all those humanitarian resources, helping to alleviate the whole situation. But I do think that it's very, very smart for them to actually do that, because at the same time, 100,000 metric ton, okay, and you're getting a record discount at 28.50 less from the price of every barrel. Pretty smart. I can't complain. Okay, I can't complain. From a business perspective, I do think that is a very, very smart move, and they did not really violate any rules either. It was basically just a social faux pas, if anything. So I think it's all right. Acutely aware that our decision last week to purchase a cargo of Russian crude oil to be refined into products like petrol and diesel, despite being made with security of the supplies at the forefront of our thinking, was not the right one, and we are sorry. I'm just saying, okay, as a company, they are just apologizing because they are getting a lot of criticism. But let's be honest, they did the right thing. They probably think they did the right thing, and that was a great buy for them. So no hard feeling on my side, I feel. Okay. Let's see what is 2 million people has fled Ukraine, said UN. Okay. Today, the outflow of a refugee from Ukraine reaches 2 million people. 2 million. Cool. Okay. Nickel market sent on a wild ride by Russia concern. Like I said before, I've been saying this for like the entirety of it. 3 commodities for you to really look out for: aluminum, nickel, and wheat. Wheat has already been skyrocketing. So nickel is here. I'm just saying, aluminum is also going up in price, but it's not really been reported in a sense. So look out for the aluminum market. If this war continues for another week, I can really see aluminum prices go up. Just my thought. Okay. Anyway, let's go through. Okay, that's great. We actually basically finished the whole thing already. All right, good. Gasoline price hits record high. U.S. drivers are now paying an average of $4, almost $4.20 a gallon at a pump. So in yesterday's news, I actually explained about this as well. Pre-war, U.S. drivers are basically paying about $2.80 to about $3, okay, per gallon of oil. Right now, they're paying $4.20, okay. In a little bit more, they are probably going to be paying 2 times more than the pre-war prices. And that's why this is one of the reasons that's going to be in tomorrow's video, where I actually talk about how this Russia war can actually affect all the normal civilians who are just even outside of Russia and Ukraine, which I think would be quite interesting. Oil prices is definitely one of them, without a doubt. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, but I think that's basically them just talking about the crude oil and such. Never mind. All right, let's see. Ukrainians risk their life to keep Russian gas flowing to Europe. Europe imported more natural gas from Russia in the first 10 days of the war than before the invasion. Keeping it flowing is a crew of intrepid Ukrainian. Minutes after explosion rocked the southern town of Mykolaiv early on February 24th. Yevhen, a pipeline engineer who leads the region main pipeline division, arrived at work and drew up plans to operate potentially explosive natural gas pipeline in a war zone. Yevhen sent his wife and 2 children westward to safety. A skeleton crew had extinguished fires caused by Russian artillery, occasionally ducked into a bomb shelter. They're ready to react to any turns of events. Damn, that's actually quite crazy. Hitting a record of more than 300 euros a megawatt hour Monday, it became more profitable for companies to max out imports from Russia. Like I said, okay, the thing is that I've been saying this so much. The thing is that as much as people want to shun Russia, people want to boycott Russia and such, it's not going to happen when Russia have the very thing that you all need. And as much as y'all want to be like the social justice warrior, where you can just say, nah, we're not gonna get anything from Russia. We're gonna suffocate them economically and financially, everything. Fair enough. But you have to get it somewhere else. And if you get it somewhere else, whoever who has the other load of commodities that you require, they can strike up the price if they wanted to. There is no reason for them not to do so, because we clearly know for a fact that the number 2 in position is going to be taken out from the entire global market if everyone is going to be doing some form of boycotting. And if that's going to be the case, it makes sense for people to just be like, for example, if I am someone who have oil, I'm not going to sell oil. I'm just going to hold it out. I'm just going to hold it out and wait till oil prices go up even higher. Okay, I can continue with business, but the thing is that people who refuses to buy from me now are going to suffer when they eventually buy from me a week later. And I think that that's basically what's going to be happening with Russia. I think that makes the most sense to me. All right. Okay, Europe's reliance on Russia gas is at the heart of awkward power dynamics between Moscow and West. The mismatch between sanctions imposed on Russia's financial system and Europe's hunger for Russian gas shows the limitation of the push to make Mr. Putin to back down. Okay. All right. Apple event, new low-end iPhone expected to have a 5G service. I'm very, very happy with this as well. So let's take into account of Apple, okay? Ever since Apple began with their products all the way from the first iPhone all the way to the current iPhone, iPhone has always been this luxury brand and this more higher-end spectrum of all the gadgets that we are actually been getting. Right now, I feel that if they were to actually lower the prices of some of the iPhone or have a small subsection where they're actually cheaper, where they actually did in the past as well. I think ever since 6S, I think they already started to do the cheaper version for people to actually get it. But at the same time, let's be honest, they're called cheaper, but they're only cheaper by like $100 or so. It's still not exactly affordable for people who couldn't get an iPhone to begin with. But right now, I do think that if they were to introduce a lower end iPhone and still have the same services, a 5G service and such, I do think that this will really help with Apple. But at the same time, this would also have a step closer to Apple monopoly happening, which of course, I mean, I don't want to be the one to actually say no to an Apple monopoly because I'm someone who uses the Apple ecosystem myself. But I do think that it will eventually happen. People will just kind of flock towards the iPhone. I do think that the people who are not using the iPhone usually uses Android, and that's kind of the duopoly, I guess. Yeah. But I do think that it is basically two companies taking over the entire industry, and that's kind of how it is to begin with. So I do think that this lower end iPhone is some form of a R&D to a certain extent because they do need to find out how to make it cheaper. The material that is being used in it would be cheaper, but at the same time, they cannot really get rid of the aesthetic of the whole iPhone. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for Apple, in my opinion. All right, so let's see. Okay, early pandemic darling for Apple. Yes, the SE. Sales of the device approached 25 million, or 12% of the company's estimated global smartphone shipment in 2020. I do remember because I did buy one as well because my mom's phone spoiled at the same time. The low-end model, which starts at $399, comes with the smallest display of screen for 4.7 inches, fared less well in the past year with the arrival of Apple's flagship products. Those include the iPhone 12 lineup, which introduced ultra-fast 5G to the company's smartphone offering for the first time and was given a boost with price breaks from carriers eager to get customers on the new cellular network. So now you get an affordable phone with 5G. Okay. This will give investor confidence that Apple can continue to grow iPhone revenues, which is why I think as an Apple investor, that's one of the biggest thing for me. iPhone, if they do not continue to innovate and have newer functions, they don't have a newer look, they do not have anything better. Because let's be honest, in the past 4 iPhones that we have, other than the fact that the iOS is actually continuously innovating, the phone on its own only have a better camera and the changes in size only. I don't think that there's any massive innovation that is happening in Apple. So if there is a lack of innovation in Apple, which is my worry for a stagnation happening in Apple, the outcome that you can do on the other side which would most likely be to lower the cost of the iPhone and create a subsection for the Apple, for the iPhones, and maybe you can create almost as if like you can have an Apple Pro and an Apple Lite sort of thing. So you have your cheap iPad, your cheap iPhone, your cheap MacBooks and such. So over there, you can also create some form of a community for people who do not really want to spend as much money on Apple products, or people who want a second product. That way, you can actually continue with iPhone revenues. I do think that this is a very, very good step forward. If this actually show a proper revenue growth for Apple, I do see the possibility of them actually continuing with the R&D for them to actually get more of this. So I think that is very, very smart for Apple. Very big fan of it. Okay. Anyway, will inflation fall? Any pullback depends on these sectors. All right, so okay, this is actually a good chart. Okay, so for this, you can basically see in the entire 7.5% that we get year over year, most of them are all the item less food and energy. That's your 4.8%. Energy takes up 1.71%, and then food takes up 0.97%. So let's be honest here. Energy is gonna be a huge part in the following months to come for all the CPI. So let's look over at the all items less food and energy, mostly coming from goods and services. Okay, all right. So this is where it usually happens: used cars and trucks and housing. But there is a problem with this chart. Okay, housing on its own is not actually reflected in the CPI or the PCE. However, rentals is not in there as well. Houses is not in there as well. It was only lodging in hotels and hospitality and such. Those are the ones that are actually increasing in price. The only downside to a CPI is housing and rentals are not actually included in there, which is why this is not really a proper thing. Okay, you see, housing includes a rental of primary residence, school housing, hotel, motels, and related costs. This does not include the rental of your secondary houses, which most of the time that would be where the actual money is actually the most important at. And the secondly, which would be housing prices. Those are not actually reflected in the CPI, which is why I think that it is a little bit flawed. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It's a little bit flawed. And the other one, which would be used cars and trucks, which I have been talking about a lot. Used cars and trucks. Usually when I look at the CPI, this is the first thing that I look out for. Afterwards would be your energy. And then afterwards would most likely be the food items and such. Most of the time, you're getting energy and used car prices. Used cars and new cars and trucks prices. These two are the one that gives you the most amount of inflationary pressure in the whole chunk of things. Okay, so yeah, I do think that these are the important sector that would be what we will be looking at, especially on Thursday as well. So I will be going through the whole thing on Thursday, so just keep a lookout for that. All right. White House to order broad review of cryptocurrencies. So this is something that I really like, because they're actually talking about cryptocurrency as a whole for now. Okay, they're talking about a possible review on the regulation around cryptocurrency. Okay, so review of cryptocurrency, including starting the creation of a US digital currency, which is the US stablecoin that we have already been talking about in the Federal Reserve forever. Okay, but nothing has been done as of that. But of course, we are really expecting that to be pegged to the US dollar. That's cool and all. All right, let's look at policymakers. A growing awareness of cryptocurrency as they have exploded in value since Bitcoin was launched 13 years ago. Federal government has taken a piecemeal approach to the asset class, with some agency largely sidestepping it, while others seek to squeeze it into existing regulatory framework designed decades earlier. Let's see, do we have something here? Okay, we'll review the environmental impact of mining cryptocurrency, a process of generating revenue by using the energy intensive supercomputers to solve complicated puzzles. All right, so for people who don't know how to mine cryptocurrency, basically you're just using energy and a good hardware, and you can get whatever cryptocurrency that you're gonna be getting. That's basically mining, the hash mining, the bit mining, whatever it is. Right now, I'm pretty sure that they are really bringing this up in terms of their priority list because of what is happening in Russia and Ukraine, with energy being one of the biggest headache that will give to US, especially with them banning Russian crude, this is gonna be their next concern, because if people are using energy to gain more revenue, eventually this energy is gonna constantly increase in price, and US is the one that's gonna be bearing the cost. The people who are paying for the energy is getting their money back by getting the cryptocurrency that they have mined. So they are okay with that kind of cost basis analysis. That's fine with them. But for the US on the other side, they are the one that's providing this energy over to those people who are doing the mining, which is where the problem really lies here. So I'm not sure how would they actually regulate it. I don't think that they're going to ban the mining of cryptocurrency completely either. Because if they do so, I don't think that's very freedom-like of America, if you know what I mean. So Biden caught between inflation and calls to ban. Yeah, okay, I talked about this before. I'm going to explain about this tomorrow in the video for Wednesday. All right. Russian threat to cut gas sends European market in frenzy. So yeah, I mean, this was what basically was said by Novak earlier in the news as well, where Novak basically said, Europeans, you guys are the one that should be worried, not us, because we can redirect the volumes to somewhere else. That definitely sent trembles down Europe's spine, because they are like saying, oh no, now we are the problem. We are the one that should be in problem, because they don't need to worry about a buyer. Europe always had this mindset saying that, Russia can only sell it to us because of the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. But right now, they don't really care, because they can just basically redirect the volume somewhere else, possibly China, since they're also quite close by as well. Let's not forget that. So yeah, that's going to be a huge problem for that. So, all right, anyway. China warns US against forming Pacific in NATO and backing Taiwan. I'll talk about this as well. I have not read about this. Yesterday, I was studying the market and I fell asleep. So today for sure. All right. But anyway, the final news. Okay, since it's already 32 minutes, I'm going to just put this as the final news and I'm going to end it, okay? So Fed approved rule banning its officials from trading stocks and bonds. Also, cryptocurrencies. This is a huge... Okay, for people who are unaware, Nancy Pelosi, one of the greatest trader in the Federal Reserve, or well, basically in the FOMC, she did a lot of insider trading. Okay, of course, it's not considered insider trading because she had 45 days for her to report whatever she traded in. Nancy Pelosi and also her husband. Right now, the Federal Reserve are going to be completely restricting anyone from owning individual stocks, bond, and other assets under rules that's being announced on Friday. And this will all happen, these will all take effect from October. Okay, so if you're asking, then how can they invest? Simple, ETF. They just need to invest into the country's ETF. They can invest into the indexes. They can invest into the SPY, the QQQ, and such. Those are perfectly fine. And in fact, we do want them to be investing in those instead. Because let's not forget, the Federal Reserve do have a task to complete. And if they have a hidden agenda by holding on to large position in certain stocks, that might be able to skew their own decision somewhere else. But for them, if they own indices, shares and such, they don't have to care, because at the end of the day, what they want is for US to prosper. And I think that's the best way forward. By the way, that's kind of the basis of this news. I don't think I really need to get into the nitty-gritty of things until closer to October. Probably that they're going to be having some changes in between anyway. So, by the way, that's all I have for today. Right now, I'm going to go and cook my dinner. And then I'm going to go and shower. And then I'm going to go and look at the market a little bit more. By the way, I thank you guys for watching to this far. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Watch out for tomorrow's video, which is my daily news, and also how Russia-Ukraine war is going to be affecting normal civilians like us outside of Ukraine and Russia. Anyway, thank you guys for watching.